Well, it's another week and another Giants loss, and I'll admit I'm usually pretty negative when it comes to this team, but this wasn't a typical Giants loss, which I guess is a positive in a way. I mean, anytime you lose on a 63-yard field goal, that definitely blows, but this was the kind of loss we haven't seen from the Giants in a while. The 30-point streak is finally over after basically 3 years. Love seeing that. I mean, the Giants did a lot of the things I wanted them to do since the first week of the season, so I mean, that is a positive. I mean, we just ran into the wrong team this week, I feel like. I mean, I can come on here and just continue to bash the Giants, but I think they fixed up a lot of the things that they weren't doing well the first few weeks of the season. They definitely stopped with the forced checkdowns. They were taking a lot more shots. Eli Manning did throw two interceptions. I understand that, but as I said in all my other videos, that you have to take risk in order to generate points. I mean, no team is going to be able to just dink and dunk the whole game and score 30 points. So I was definitely fine with the game plan and from that perspective. So there were some good things to go off of. The defense didn't have the best game. Of course, the refs made some very questionable calls in this game, and I don't like to blame games on officiating completely, but the whole Landon Collins, I think it was the helmet hit that they called on him. That was ridiculous. He obviously hit the ball first. No one was actually going for the receiver on that play. The McCaffrey play on 3rd and 1 that everyone says is a fourth down. I mean, I thought it was, ridiculously close as it can get. But, from the naked eye, I believe, I don't think he got it. And it's kind of ridiculous how they didn't even review that play. I mean, the refs in that situation should probably stop the game and just at least review it so we have the right call. From where I was watching, it was tough to hear the volume. So on the screen, it said 4th and 1, and then I see Cam Newton spike the ball, and I'm thinking to myself, did we just win this game, or is Cam Newton just like doing something completely idiotic? Like, I really didn't know what was going on. And then, of course, I see that they give him a first down, and just a crazy sequence of events there. So it's unfortunate what happened, and I don't know, it's weird. I just have like this positive vibe about the Giants all of a sudden. I mean, like, I was really happy with what I saw today. Like, I understand they lost the game, and like, what kind of fan is happy over a loss? I mean, it's obviously heartbreaking the way it ended, but like, when your team hasn't scored, over 30 points in that many games, I mean, to do it in a week where Odell Beckham was complaining, kind of taking shots at, Eli Manning, and I didn't really read the full quotes or anything, but based off what I saw on Twitter, people were kind of saying that he was taking jabs at Eli Manning. I'm really not sure what it was, and people were saying the Giants need to play with more heart, all that kind of stuff. And it seemed like we had a different team out there this week. I mean, in the past, the Giants didn't really seem too motivated. The game plan was really, really conservative to the point where it was annoying. I mean, the Giants were playing like they had this incredible defense that was holding teams to like 3 to 10 points every game, and they just had to put up, somewhere in the teens in order to win a game. I mean, in the NFL in 2018, you need to be able to score 30 points on any given week. I'm not saying you have to do it every week, but you have to do it a good amount of times. So seeing that is very encouraging, and I'm very happy to see it. So there is a lot to get into in this game. I pretty much wrote down positives and negatives, so I'll get into those real quick. And first, I'll start off with the positives. So the first positive, I see this happening live right now, that the Texans just beat the Cowboys. I have that game on in the background, so that's awesome. The Eagles lost this week, the Cowboys lost, and I would guess that the Redskins lose to the Saints tomorrow. I think they're in New Orleans, which is always tough. So the Giants, technically don't lose any ground this week, and it kind of makes losing this week suck even more, but it's not the end of the world, and it does make Thursday's game against Philadelphia, still very exciting. So, that's the first positive. So what I have written down is we scored over 30 points. That's fantastic. I got into that a little bit. We took plenty of deep shots, and this is something I wanted to get into because I make the videos where I stop the game, when Eli's in the pocket and circle the receivers, and I got people commenting like, "Oh, half these circles aren't even open," blah blah blah. And I'm saying, like, yeah, it's the NFL. Like, not everyone's going to be open. Like, these are, the best defenders that we have to offer in the world. And, you got to make pinpoint accurate throws at certain times. I mean, Eli Manning hasn't been the most accurate quarterback this year. He did throw an interception. One of them was just an awful throw that was like 10 yards off the target. One of them was just a bad read. But, like, as I said in the beginning, you need to take shots in order to score points. I mean, like, this is such a it's an offensive, what's the word? It's just like it favors the offense, this league. You know what I mean? Like, there are so many penalties, whether it's defensive holding, pass interference, roughing the passer. How many of those have we seen this year? just illegal contact, all this kind of stuff, and so many calls that favor the offense, and it really favors an aggressive offense more than a conservative one. So I was really happy to see us take a lot of shots today. Of course, Odell Beckham took advantage of that, had his first touchdown, almost had two. I think Bradbury made a great play knocking the ball out at the last second there. Who else? Russell Shepard had a big catch. It was called back because he was hit down, but had a big catch late in the game. Sterling Shepard had a few long ones. So they did a great job just moving the ball downfield. Saquon Barkley, I mean, I don't like to curse on this, I don't want to call it podcast or these videos, but Saquon Barkley is fucking legit. He is, I think talent-wise, a top 3 running back in this league for sure. I mean, he's one of the most electrifying players I've ever seen at the running back position. I mean, I've watched football for about 10 to 12 years now, and Saquon Barkley's just different. You can tell. I mean, he can jump over anybody. He can blow by anybody. I mean, that spin move he had, I forget what quarter it was, maybe the second quarter, that spin move he had, and he broke through 2 other tacklers. I mean, it was just an amazing run. So not many people can do what Saquon Barkley does, and he's done an incredible job. He did have that injury scare at the end when he scored his second touchdown, I think it was. And it looked like a hyperextension. I mean, I hope it's not that bad. Right now, it's not sounding too serious. So at first, when he went down, of course, I was fearing the worst. But right now, it looks pretty good. So the Giants got pretty lucky with that one. So I also have the offense took more risk. I saw the Giants go for a couple 4th downs. There was that one 4th and 3 that Odell dropped, which was unfortunate, but if he caught the ball, which he would do 9 times out of 10, then that's a first down. They had a QB sneak with Eli Manning at one point. They converted on that, and I mean, it's funny. The Giants had 2 QB sneaks with Eli. I forget what week it was. I think it was week 2 against Dallas. Yeah, I think it was week 2, and they converted both of them, and there was some stat that came up that Eli Manning hasn't had a QB sneak in 4 years up until that point. I don't know how a team. I know Eli Manning is not athletic. I completely understand that. But how do you not run a QB sneak for 4 years? I mean, that's a play that's pretty prevalent in the NFL. I almost said NBA. In the NFL now. And, I mean, it seems to work all the time. You know what I mean? So as long as your offensive line gets a little bit of push, it tends to work a lot. So, I'm really happy to see them finally utilizing that play. So, I said at times Eli Manning was looking like his old self. I mean, there were plays where he looked a little jittery in the pocket, but that's just kind of what you have to expect at this point. But there were times where he was, taking his time, going through his reads, his progressions, and, making pinpoint throws. And then there were times where, on the ball where he targeted Sterling Shepard, where he missed by 10 feet and it was intercepted. So you got to take the good with the bad there. But I thought the good outweighed the bad in this one. So I give Eli a lot of credit for his performance today. The defense had a couple interceptions, Curtis Riley and Janoris Jenkins. Cam Newton kind of had similar interceptions to Eli. One of them was just great anticipation by Curtis Riley. I think the pass was over the middle, and Riley kind of jumped the route and took it away. And the one of Janoris Jenkins was just thrown right at him. I mean, Janoris just had to catch the ball, which, luckily he did. Seems like a lot of cornerbacks have issues catching, so I'm happy to see Janoris get that one. Another thing, I mean, this was a shocker. Odell Beckham was returning punts. I love seeing that. We did have that little debacle in the second quarter on the punt, so I'll get to that later. It wasn't really Odell's fault completely. I mean, the ball just kind of took a weird bounce and ended up hitting him in the leg, which is unfortunate, but, there's other players to blame on that play. I already went over Saquon Barkley's special. The trick play we had in the second quarter, I think it was, where we threw that quick screen to Odell. Odell threw it across the field to Saquon Barkley, who was able to beat the linebacker and take it in. I don't think I've seen Odell throw a ball in a long time. I think his rookie year against maybe Tennessee it was later in the season. I might be wrong on this, but off the top of the head, that's what I remember. There was a time. I don't know if he completed the pass or not. But it was really nice seeing that. And I got to give a shout-out to Aldrick Rosas, who's been incredible on the field goals this year. I'm pretty sure he's still perfect. He had a bit of a rough year last year, but definitely looks a lot more comfortable. I mean, he hasn't really had a close call yet. All his field goals were going right down the middle today. I think he had a 52-yarder, 53-yarder today, which was a nice kick. So it's nice to have a kicker that you can rely on, and I'm definitely starting to trust him more. And you could tell Pat Shurmur's starting to trust him more as well. Rosas was a guy last year we really couldn't trust in key situations, but when you're 3-13, I mean, it really doesn't matter. So at least he's improving. And on to the negative. So I have Odell dropping the 4th and 3 pass. Already went over that. This one, tackling was horrendous. I don't know if horrendous is a good enough word to describe that. There were times in this game where the Giants looked like they were playing against people that were just superior to them talent-wise. I mean, it was ridiculous. I mean, no disrespect to Curtis Samuel, or who was it, DJ Moore, but the Samuel touchdown was ridiculous. How he was able to get away from like 4 Giant defenders and got into the end zone somehow. That's inexcusable. I mean, it's not like the guy's Anquan Bolden or something, you know what I mean, or a really tough receiver to tackle. I mean, it was ridiculous how he was able to get in the end zone there. There was another play later in the game with DJ Moore who ran a slant, and DJ Moore is an elusive rookie. I mean, he's tough to get down, but he got through 2 guys, and luckily Landon Collins was the last guy to take him down, or he probably would have taken it to the house as well. So the tackling definitely needs to improve. Those were the 2 plays that stick out. I'm probably missing some, but off the top of my head, that's what I remember the most. I did just praise Aldrick Rosas for his field goals, but we did have that kickoff out of bounds from Rosas in the second quarter, I think it was. So, winning the field position battle is a big thing in the NFL, and anytime you give a quarterback like Cam Newton the ball on the 40, definitely sucks. So, also a negative was that special teams touchdown, which I touched on before. I mean, I understood what Odell was doing. The punt was a little too, far back in the, it was, I think, probably around like the 5-yard line of the Giants. And Odell obviously didn't want to fair catch it there, so he decided to run into the gunner on the Panthers. And the ball ended up bouncing into his leg. And then I think Janoris Jenkins tried to pick it up, missed it. I forget who kicked it into the end zone. It might have been Eli Apple. I have to look at the replay, but it was just a whole mess. So the Panthers fall on it, get a touchdown. Another negative I have is the penalties / refs. I mean, the pass interference call on Collins was ridiculous. I still think the refs should have reviewed the McCaffrey quote unquote first down. Still not sure if it was or not. I mean, we can look at as many replays as we want, and we can all come up with our own interpretations, but I'm really not sure what it was. Also, Cam Newton had too many clean pockets, in my opinion. And Cam Newton he is a physical freak. It's ridiculous. I mean, he runs out of the pocket. He can run into like 4 linebackers and stumble forward for 5 yards and pick up a first down. I mean, I've never seen a quarterback like this guy. It's really insane what he's able to do. And I got into this a little bit before, but Eli Manning made a bad throw. The interception, targeting Sterling Shepard, I believe it was. I agree with the decision. I think Shepard, there was a tight window to make that throw, but he needed to throw it towards the sideline more. Threw it way too far inside, got intercepted. Just, inaccuracy. It happens. And the guy's 37 years old. I get it. He's never been the most accurate quarterback. And then he had that one bad read where I think who was a cornerback, I think? I'm trying to remember now. I think it was a cornerback who was playing like nickel, and he acted like he was blitzing. And then, he saw Odell run a slant, went back out, and was able to intercept it. So, I guess he fooled Eli on that one, and it was a good play by him. So, he did make 2 bad throws, maybe another interception that should have been caught, but it is what it is. I mean, I was pretty happy with Eli Manning overall. I usually rip on him every time I talk about the Giants, but when you're scoring 31 points on offense, I mean, I really can't blame the offense. I mean, the Giants' offense is to blame 99% of the time, but this week I really don't feel like they were the issue. The special teams sucked. The defense was kind of average. Without the interceptions, the defense would have had a pretty rough day. So at least they got a couple turnovers, but overall the defense needs to do a better job than that. So that was a little disappointing. So my overall takeaway is the team looked a lot better this week. They played with a lot of heart. They finally put up a good amount of points on the scoreboard. Unfortunately, they ran into the wrong opponent, and they played a good Panthers team. I think they're an underrated team. And it is what it is. I mean, the Giants have a big game coming up Thursday against the Eagles. I think they're at home. That's kind of a must-win game at this point. The NFC East right now is still very close. As of this recording, the team with the most wins in the division has 2. So as long as the Redskins lose tomorrow, we'll be within a game or a game and a half of the Redskins or the Eagles and the Cowboys. So the Giants, they do need to win Thursday, and I do have a feeling that they're going to keep that game really close. I mean, if I had to guess, I'm probably going to pick them to win that game. I have no idea what the score is going to be. I don't know what to expect, but I mean, I just saw a lot of encouraging signs from the Giants this week. Pat Shermer looked very fiery in his is fiery even a word? I have no idea, but he looked really feisty in his press conference after the game. He looked pretty ticked off. So I think, I think the team's gonna rally behind him, and they know how close they were. They finally put up 30 points. I'm sure they were tired of hearing it. And the Eagles have been struggling overall. I mean, they were down pretty big in the Vikings game today. They almost lost to the Colts a couple weeks ago. I mean, the Eagles haven't been nearly as impressive as they were last year. Their secondary right now is very beatable. So, I mean, Eli Manning has to take advantage of that. Their run defense is still phenomenal. So, I'm not sure how many holes Saquon's going to have. So, the Giants are going to have to take advantage of, using Odell, Sterling Shepard, use Saquon in the passing game. I doubt Evan Ingram's going to be back, but, they have to use their receivers. And, they have a lot of guys that can step up, which is nice. So, I'm really excited for this game. I mean, as long as the Redskins lose and this division is still tight, it's gonna be a fun game. I don't expect the Giants to get blown out or anything like that. If they lose, it'll be in another depressing fashion. I mean, which kind of reminds me, this game was just like the Josh Norman Odell game from 2015, I think it was. I was actually at that game. The Giants were down like 38-7 or something. They came all the way back, and then of course Cam Newton leads a game-winning field goal drive, and kind of was like the Jake Elliott game as well. So 61-yarder, I think it was week 3 last year, and just breaks your heart. So I did expect the Giants to lose this game, so I really didn't take it that hard. But and I do expect them to win Thursday, so we'll see what happens. I hope I'm not disappointed. So I will talk to you guys on Thursday, maybe Friday. I'm not really sure. After the Giants go 2-4, hopefully. I don't know if they have a chance to be number 1 in the NFC East after this week. I'm not really sure, but if they are, that'd be dope. I have no idea who the Cowboys or Redskins play next week, so I mean, I'm diving into it way too early right now. So we'll see what happens, and I'll talk to you guys next week.